Hello there and welcome to the first episode of Spilling the Paint Water. My name is Chloe Rose, but I also go by Chloe Rose Art on YouTube, and today I'm joined with none other than Josiah Brooks, also known on YouTube as Jazza. Jazza is a hugely successful artist YouTuber with over 5.3 million subscribers, and he also happens to be one of the most humble people that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. I met Jazza at VidCon last year, but I've been following his content now for quite a few years, and he's honestly one of my biggest inspirations as a creator. His content is just honestly hilarious and lighthearted, and I don't know a single person in the art community on YouTube that doesn't love Jazza. You can find him on Instagram as Draw with Jazza and Twitter as Josiah Brooks, and I'm just incredibly excited to be chatting with him in today's episode, so I really hope that you enjoy.
Should we clap at the same time? We'll 1, 2, 3 clap.
Yeah, let's do that.
Then all right, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Did you do it at the same time as me?
Yep, it sounded the same on mine.
Did it? Okay, fine. Let's do one more. I'm curious,
Right,
is that like
good.
the delay? Okay,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, clap. Wow, okay, so it's a good like second delay. All right.
Great.
Good, I'm glad we're doing this. I'm glad we're recording our own thing.
Okay. So first of all, hello, welcome. I'm here with Jazza today. How are you doing?
Hi. Great. How are you doing?
I am doing good. Would you prefer me to call you Jazza or Josiah? Which do you prefer to be called?
I'd stick to Jazza, I
Jazza,
reckon.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds
keep
good.
on brand.
Okay, well, it's obviously a complete honour and privilege to be talking to you today. Thank you again for taking time out of your life to talk with me and be,
Thanks for having me. I
discussing things.
appreciate it.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. Me too. So first of all, did you set out to be an artist your whole life? Was that something you planned to do?
I always have this story that I go back to of when I was 11, because that was when I went to high school, and that was like a moment when I was like, okay, I don't have friends now because I was the youngest in my year level, so
Yeah,
all the
wow.
friends my age were still in primary school. So I went to high school, had no friends. I'm like, okay, well, drawing. I like drawing, and I just kept going, and it became an obsession from that moment. But actually, my mum has all my childhood things, and I actually looked through them in a video at one point, but a lot of the stuff I didn't show in the video because you got to shape your videos to be content.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like there's so much, so even before that I was surprised by how I've always been really into art. So it was really fun to see, even my primary school, like when I was like 6, and you meant to write something about yourself, and I wrote something like, I am destined to become a something cartoonist, and something like that. I was like,
so cute.
I was like, that's really nice to see. I'm like, okay, cool.
Oh, that's
It was
sweet.
cool.
I actually just...
So
Sorry, carry on.
no, you go, and that's the delay. Go, just if we cut each other off,
Yeah,
it's,
we've got
that's
1
right.
second delays and we're not talking over each
Yeah.
other. I was actually sorting my art space out, which is actually doubles as a closet at the moment. And I found a bunch of childhood art that I made, and I was surprised myself because I wasn't as into art until I was about 16. I always liked to draw as a kid, but not seriously until I was 16. I was surprised at the complete garbage that I used to make. There was pictures of outdoor chairs.
I think a lot of us are still surprised at the complete garbage we still make.
Yeah.
But that's the fun about being an
true.
artist is it's an acceptance of the garbage to get to the good.
That is very true, and you learn by the garbage to make the slightly less garbage stuff, and then you make something you're actually proud of. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You should turn that into a t-shirt.
I should, yeah, that's just a long, lengthy t-shirt there.
Yeah. Anything that gets people to stop and read at length.
Yes,
Always a
exactly.
good conversation starter.
I haven't gone back to any of your really old videos, so you most likely have covered some of these obvious questions, but what made you start YouTube? Was it because you wanted to set out to be an artist? It was obviously Draw with Jazza before it was just Jazza. Mm-hmm. Is it something you just set out to do, hoping it would launch a career for you, or was it just
Yeah, it was certainly intentional, because prior to my YouTube channel, I was an independent animator and game designer. I say that as if it sounds really fancy, but I was making flash cartoons and games on the internet. So,
That's cool, though.
and it was working. When it was good, it was good.
Yeah.
At least relative to the time. I was able to pay my bills and get a humble little mortgage and terrible little car. But then it went bad quickly because the iPhone came out and apps and all that. I'm like, I either had to pivot to the marketplace for phones, or I had to figure out something else. And I had learnt through some difficult experiences that relying on other people to make the things I really wanted to make happen wasn't always the best way to do it, because I knew I was reliable, but I didn't know if other people were. So I had to I was like, I want to do something that I can rely on myself to do.
Absolutely.
But I need it to be a job as soon as possible. So this was 2012, and I saw YouTube was moving along. There was starting to be this idea of people being YouTubers, but it wasn't clearly a place where people could build a career. But I saw there was a gap. I'm like, there is no art content. Like, and this is going back to where like tutorials were like really loud, like music, like just text on the screen and terrible, like it was just bad.
Super
so I'm like,
fancy.
okay, I can come here and do a lot better than that. And that's where I started,
Aw, that's really cool. I mean, YouTube's changed a lot. I always say that you and Bailey J are like the OG art creators. You will always be like on the pedestal.
I love OG.
Yeah.
OG is like a really nice way of giving cred, but secretly saying old.
No, not old. No.
It's okay. I'm like, I thought of this before. Have you seen the second Jumanji movie?
I have.
Highly recommend. Danny DeVito learns the lesson. He starts off, he's like, getting old sucks, kid. But by the end of the movie, he's like, getting old, and the kid's like, sucks, I know. He's like, no, getting old is a blessing.
Yes.
So that's what I took away from that.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks, Danny DeVito. Kids, Danny DeVito is an actor who a long time ago used to be... I'm just kidding.
It's like, who's Danny DeVito?
Yeah.
I loved him from Matilda.
Hashtag relatable.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yes, that's what I always go to in my head
Yeah.
Of what I remember him from. So how about yourself? Where did you kick off your I'm an art YouTuber thing? When was your moment?
I don't know. I used to kind of make like hair videos and just random videos because it was something I always just wanted to do for fun. My best friend and I were, very, very far apart. So we'd kind of make silly videos and I'd make some for her and then it'd be like, oh, look, I just made this silly video, relatable about TV shows that we'd enjoy. And then it got to a point where I was like, I suck at this. I'm not good at talking about hair. I mean, look at the state of my hair now. It's just, people do it way better than I do. So I thought, what can I do? What am I actually like good at? And art was something that I had started getting into again when I was about 16. I started YouTube. I don't remember how old I was. Was I like 19, 20, 21? And I just started it because I just thought, well, I could put it up. I saw a couple of people posting, and then I did sort of like artist problem videos, like, oh, this is a problem about being an artist. I tried to be more of an entertainment art channel because I was just trying to make something that worked. And then I made an art hack video from art hacks I'd found online, or just a random couple of things that I completely made up in my head and thought, this is a good idea. And that video blew up, and from there my channel basically just started growing. And it wasn't something that my series just popped up. Sorry about that. It wasn't something I ever expected to have anything come out of it until that moment. And I remember discovering your channel probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and I was like, wow, he's so cool. He is so cool. He's so entertaining. He's like an entertaining YouTuber, and I feel like that's why you did so well, because you fit into that niche of entertainment as an artist.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and also obviously informative.
What you've said about finding your thing too is interesting, because it highlights that in finding that success, you had the instinct to first identify the gap, which is also something I did too, which hopefully that's an interesting clue for people who want to get into this sort of thing. Because I think the first instinct for a lot of people is to copy what other people are doing, and that is not the answer, because the other people are probably doing it better, right? Yeah. So what unique like take can you do on something people are already interested in? Or I think another great thing is to participate in communities that are already established.
Absolutely,
right? That's a huge thing, especially because the creators who run those communities really notice and really care, and it's often something that they and we like highlighting. So that's a really quick way to get the attention of people. Absolutely. By giving into those communities. It's like, we want to give back. And yeah,
absolutely. I used to look at other communities on YouTube, like the beauty community, and I noticed that a lot of them were buying wedding dresses and prom dresses on Wish when that was kind of very, very popular at the time. And I was like, oh, I should buy art supplies on Wish, and I made those videos, and those did really well. So I'd often look to different niche you know,
Yeah.
in different communities, and then bring them to the art community. Because like you say, when you copy somebody else that's been doing it longer, like it'd be like me trying to make content, you know, I mean, I've done some trends that you've done, but I clearly can't do them as well as you. I just do them for fun. But it's just, like you say, it's finding a niche.
We all do that. It's a funny thing because every now and then we get like called out by people. It was like whoever did it first. But we all know that we share our ideas, and it's like someone came up with something first, but it's also like we know within ourselves this is like a free-for-all.
This is what YouTube
and
is.
It's fun to see other people's take on it. So like if someone else, like I copied another artist, a musician who did a Fiverr video, and then I was like, oh, that would be really fun to see what I could get with art and animation. And I think that's the beautiful thing about creativity, is that's what it is.
Exactly.
It's a constant reinvention, often of the same elements, but it's through various people's flavor that it becomes really engaging in different ways.
And it's funny when you say about the Fiverr video, I actually thought of something similar about making a Fiverr video when I saw, I think it was a musician or someone else that was a trend in a different community. I thought, oh, I could do that. And then I saw you do it. I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to pass on that one because there's no way I can do it better than that. But it's like I've made a couple videos following trends that Mariah Elizabeth started, because her, you know, she's very creative. And I remember, I think it was like 21 seconds into the video where I was repainting a squishy, I said, this is Mariah's idea. I asked her, I said, hey, do you mind if I, you know, do this? And she said yes. 21 seconds into the video, and the amount of comments I had saying, credit Mariah. Mariah came up with this first. Why are you copying? I'm like, I said credit.
Yeah. It is a good practice, and it is something I try and do if I'm like, this is someone else's idea. Like Ray's video on blindfold art supply picking.
That was fun.
Was like, I wanted to do that so bad. So I'm like, it's great because it's also when you invent the thing, if people are sticking to the code, which most of us try and be as polite as possible, it's nice because it's a nice way to sort of feed back into where we're aware that creativity spawned from.
Absolutely.
So for the most part, it grows and spreads and evolves, but it can be. It's nice to sort of see that a lot of people do lead back to where they got their inspiration.
Exactly.
And that sort of continues in reverse as well.
I love seeing creators do different trends, because everyone always brings, it's like artwork. If you had every artist paint or draw the same thing, it's always going to turn out different, because everyone's got their own flair on it. So I just think that's always the fun about YouTube. I guess it's hard to see when, you know, not everyone's a YouTuber, so maybe they don't understand, like they take it as copying, which I don't know. It's hard to not cross that line. Yeah.
So I'm curious. So the listeners to this podcast, obviously your fans, I'm also wondering if you feel like there's going to be a lot of people who want to do this, or if it's more just like you reckon that's a big element of people?
I guess so. I think so. I mean, a lot of what I want to talk about during the podcasts is just about the life of it, and if, you know, people want to start it themselves, just kind of give a bit of insight behind the scenes to mostly social media in general, because artists nowadays, they, you know, aren't like artists hundreds of years ago. They can have their work seen all over the world, you know, with a literal single post. So
yeah, it's pretty.
It's really cool. We're like a whole different generation of artists and creative people that has never existed before. So I really just wanted to talk about that a lot, you know, and maybe give insight to people.
Do you know, the funny thing is, along with that, is this weird paradigm where people are more talented at a younger age, but have so much more pressure to get results that we didn't know existed until we were young adults, which is the weirdest thing. So it's just like, there are these kids who are 11 or 12 who kick the crap out of where I was at when I was 16.
Same.
They're putting out artworks and they have 1,000 followers, and they're like down on themselves, or like there's this hustle culture. There's this hustle culture with 12-year-olds. I'm like, you're 12.
Be a kid, enjoy
You're
it.
12 years old. Exactly. Live a little and have a bit of fun. But it's interesting, because I do think that social media has so many sides to it, and there's this wonderful utopian anyone can succeed element which we all love, but this sort of dark mirror side where if you're not succeeding, or if you're not good enough, like there's this constancy to analyze and criticize yourself that makes it brutal if you're vulnerable to that, which artists tend to be.
Absolutely.
We're really like We criticize ourselves harshly, and then let's open ourselves up to everyone else to do the same.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I find it very difficult, social media in general, because it's so easy to, especially with Instagram, there's a quote that says about, don't ever compare your behind the scenes to someone's like show reel, because most of the time you are seeing what people have spent hours on and they're posting their best work, and then you're looking at yours and like, why does mine look like crap? Why is theirs so good and they're my age, or they've been doing the same amount of time as me? And I definitely think social media is so great for getting your work out there, but also for comparing yourself, it's so bad,
Yeah. You see the one in every 1,000 artworks that looks stunning, but you don't see the 1,000 artworks that people make mistakes with, or that it takes to get there.
Exactly. Yeah.
With most.
Do you find that you're more critical of your artwork now it's on social media than you were, say, when you were younger and it wasn't necessarily for thousands to see?
I think in the context of my channel, I am. I think I tend to be a naturally... I am self-critical, but I also am quite willing to see the good in my progress and my art and feel satisfied in moments. That's something I've learnt. However, when you have, millions of subscribers and you sort of tend towards imposter syndrome, and you release content and you see other people who are blatantly more talented than you release content to smaller audiences on average, it's just like, you can't help but like be harsher on your own artwork and your own progress and journey than you should be. So I try and give myself room to not be perfect or compare myself to others. It's important to try that, but it is also natural to fall towards that as well. So it's a constant balance.
Absolutely. And I feel the same as well. It's not just artwork, but videos as well. You see people like pumping out all of these videos, or having these really cool ideas, or just making this content. It's like, well, my artwork and my content doesn't feel as good as that person. Now what do I do?
Yeah.
Yeah, your production value is amazing, by the way. It's absolutely incredible.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm very lucky to have good help. So
you are,
it's awesome.
But you've also got the drive in you as well to get up and do that every day. Obviously you have a family, you're married, you've got, is it 2 children you've got?
Yeah, I've got 2 kids.
They are so adorable. They are so cute. They're so lovely.
Thank you.
It must be like, that's something I can't relate to. I don't have like, marriage or a family yet, so I can't imagine, it must be pretty difficult to balance, the pressure of obviously online stuff, as well as, you've got to be there for the family as well.
Yeah, it's I think the pressure, I feel more pressure providing for my employees in a sense, because my family are more like my refuge. So right. I don't like, that's not a place I feel pressure, thankfully. That's where I let off the pressure.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the in regards to the production value thing, I don't know. It's this weird balance of, you want to grow something, you want it to get better and better, but at the same time, YouTube's charm is that it can be with a webcam and just with a lot of elbow grease, and it's just as good. So, while I personally love, I think that it comes down to, I'm so tangential. I'm so sorry. I think it comes down to doing what is authentically you, and I am authentically someone who loves tech and loves things that look and sound better each time. So I'm passionate about that, but I also try and not lose sight of the core of what I'm trying to offer, which isn't just a great frame rate and lighting and sound. It's something really fun and engaging. So yeah, it's finding that balance.
So I really hope that you are enjoying the episode so far. Now I wanted to take a quick break to let you know about this incredible small business called Bloom. Now Bloom make these gorgeous handcrafted, hand-poured soy candles, wax melts and reed diffusers. Now I'm home all the time for obvious reasons, so I love candles and room scents to feel more happy in the space that I'm in. It's honestly amazing to me how something so simple can really impact my mood. Now these candles are far healthier for you than traditional candles because they use industry clean fragrance oils, meaning no carcinogens or toxins that you will find from other brands. They are also incredibly eco-friendly, and starting January the 1st, 2021, we'll be planting a tree for every candle that they sell, which, if you know me, is a huge deal because I'm huge on being environmentally friendly. So if you would like to check out the huge array of cents. You can get free shipping over $75 with the coupon code PAINTWATER1, and you can also get a free wax melter with the coupon code PAINTWATER2, and both coupons can be combined. So check out Bloom Candles at bloom-candles.com/spillingthepaintwater, and thank you so much to Bloom for sponsoring this podcast today. How do you feel about like the current state of the art community? Obviously, you've been around. Again, you're not old, but you've been around, you know, on YouTube for a long time now. And obviously the art communities, it used to go through phases of, you know, the tutorials, and it was challenges, and then it was like more quiet videos, and it was challenges again, and it kind of goes through these cycles. How do you feel about the current state of, I mean, obviously you've addressed this a few times, but do you like the direction it's going in, or do you kind of dislike the direction it's going in?
That's a good question. I think it's a tricky one, because in the past I have had this pretty harsh view of being someone in a marketplace. Essentially, if you're not succeeding, it's because you are not doing what the market demands, and that is not the market's fault. Therefore, either adapt or die. That's it, right? So I've had that view for a long time, and to a degree, I see a lot of truth in that. Like, you know, if you're not playing the game that the platform requires, then it's not going to work for you. But on the other hand, these platforms are based on user behavior, and people, humans, relate to and gravitate towards certain things. And like you say, it's going through cycles, and there are different trends and this and that. But at the same time, I believe there is a fundamental integrity and goodness and want for quality and progress and beauty that exists outside of these platform trends or whatever. Yeah. So I like to, my view has shifted a little bit to thinking, you know, I hope and believe that there is another counteracting element that can shape the platform to the users' wants, that can change the market to what if there are enough sellers in the marketplace of a specific thing that people, then the market itself will adapt. And I like to think that people will get bored of seeing the same thing over and over again. God knows I get bored of doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So I think it creates a nice little gap. And I think it comes down to the people who can identify that gap and say, okay, people are getting sick of this. The same thing's been done over and over again.
You got to jump into the little wedge.
How can I innovate and I believe there's enough power in people's hands to create the next wave or trend, and I like to think that will be based on quality.
I absolutely agree. I think a lot of the same stuff gets done a lot, and then it gets to a point where that cycle happens. People get sick of the same thing, and then it changes to people preferring like the old-fashioned stuff. And I remember you saying, obviously, in your videos that there's a great pressure, because there's the people that subscribed to you when your content was different and like the old content, and there's the people that came in when your content was new. So you have different types of audiences that want different things, and it's a lot of pressure trying to obviously balance what people want to see versus what you want to make. And people are always like, just make what makes you happy. But again, when it's your career, you can't really be fully like, I'm gonna just do whatever I want today, because people won't watch it, and you have to be careful when you are reliant on the views for a career.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the content creators in question, we tend to be very much looking at trajectory a lot more than where we're at currently. Yeah. Especially from an artistic perspective, like, thankfully, we're not currently living paycheck to paycheck, but we're technically in the entertainment industry. Yes. And we may not have a career a year from now, and we are painfully aware of that.
Exactly.
So I think just always the way we work, we know we can't take a break now, because we may only have a 5 to 10 year career span. So we're going to make hay while the sun shines. You know?
Exactly. That's what my mum says.
Taking a break and taking time for yourself sounds great and is important. But it's an interesting, relentless career path that I think the reason we're succeeding is because we haven't taken a break, frankly.
Exactly, yeah, and it's always because you've got to keep on your toes. You've got to change. Like, you've been around as long as, again, I'm not calling you old, but you've been around as long as...
I'm reading between the lines every time.
You've been around as long as...
For so long.
You're so long. You've just been on the platform for so many years. Ages and ages. I've never known anyone on there as long as you.
That's it.
No, but like, other content creators that I used to watch and don't anymore, that's been around as long as you, and their views now, they have the same subscriber count, but their views are like a tiny fraction of yours, and your channel has survived as well as it has and continues to succeed as much as it does because you do stick with figuring out what the niche is, what the current market is at, because you keep your, like you said in your video, you keep your kind of finger on the pulse with views and stuff. Figure out what people want. And I think that's a very difficult side of YouTube that people tend to maybe not understand until they do it, or unless someone sort of sits down and says, look, I am really burnt out, I'm doing this and this, and you cannot, like you say, you cannot take a break. It's no different to an actor or an actress who, it's a lot.
People care about people, and if they feel like they care about someone that they've been watching and they say take a break, they mean it when they say it. But they, as the viewer, then there's a gap that needs to be filled, and their attention will go somewhere else. And the person might come back and make content or not, but the algorithm decides that that person does not make content, therefore they probably shouldn't be shared as much. And then the viewer doesn't get served the content as much, but also is already inclined to click on other stuff.
Yeah, and they've moved on.
We're conditioned towards different habits so quickly and easily.
Exactly. Yeah, people just move on so quickly, and then it's scary when people come out of the woodwork, and then within a year they're like shoot up above you, and it's like, oh, I've been forgotten about. Oh no, I'm It's a lot of pressure in that regard, and I really love the videos that you've been putting out about that, because I just like yes, we share them in our group chat. We have a few artists of us, we just like all the girls just like, yeah, look at Jazza's video, it's awesome, it's exactly how we feel.
Thank you so much. That's really nice to hear.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I feel like when you said that, it reminded me of the video you did in the hotel room with Ray and Robin and Mira. And I just pictured you all in that room like chatting about it. Anyway. I really appreciate that. I think I'm inspired by, like, let's say the Casey Neistat thing. Here's a great example, by the way, of someone who's, I believe, public perception of him is that he's not really a creator anymore, because he moved to LA and is not the thing that people subscribe for. And it's like, that's a clear example of like this image that people had of a creator and the bubble, the package they were put in.
Exactly.
And their expectations of them now. But I actually found it really fascinating when he reinvented himself when he was in New York to the 368 thing. Was it called 368? I think it was. When he opened up this creator space and it became this like essentially almost a relaunching, re-identifying of his channel. And I was aware of him before. I had watched him a bit and then zoned out a little bit, and then I was re-watching him again because of that. And I think that's the clever thing. I think the feeling of like, I have to be this perfect package presentation is so not true. People care about you and where you're at. And while I do try and figure out how to do my stuff myself, because there's a lot to figure out and I don't need to burden my viewers with that. At the same time, I trust that we are all in this journey together. We all do want the net positive outcome for each other. So that's the beauty of YouTube, is you can open up and figure it out. And not know where it's going to go, but trust the process, which is fun.
You can't ever look too far in the future, because you genuinely cannot rely on anything.
So what would you say are your phases of, because we all go through ups and downs, right? So when have you felt the greatest needs to reinvent yourself and your channel?
So I started off by making kind of like skits. I made a lot of art skits, and then I moved on to the art hack type videos, and then the testing art supply videos. Then people sort of lost interest. I find a lot of like ebb and flow with those types of things. Like sometimes they'll be really, really good, and then you'll put a second part out, people just not interested anymore. I went through a phase, I would say probably around this time last year, maybe a little over a year ago. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Where, I don't know, my content wasn't as quality as I wanted it to be. And I had a lot of people tell me that they noticed I wasn't as happy anymore in my videos, which I personally never realised. But people like commenting on it, and I was like, well, maybe because I'd gone through a breakup like a couple of years ago now. But I thought, well, maybe it's just I'm sad from that. I don't know. But I was pumping out content that I was not really wanting to do. I just thought, I'll just do this because people like it, or that used to work for me. And I kind of made that shift into trying to put more effort into it and tried slightly different content. I forget which video it was in particular, but I would just make the same kind of content, like testing art supplies I found online, weird ones. And that was probably the last one I made that I really just was not passionate about at all. And then I realized, YouTube will go in the direction that it goes in. I cannot control it. I was going through a process of really worrying about, what about my future? What am I going to do, And I just realized, I cannot keep doing this to myself. I can't keep looking at the views all the time, because my mum would always say to me, look, you've gone through this so many times. Sometimes the views are up, sometimes they're down. And I just got through I can't care about this anymore. And then I just sort of made the content that, more so what I wanted to, whilst trying to get in that little niche area. And my content did a lot better again when I started doing my art unboxing videos, So, yeah.
And I've noticed there's also, you've taken on bigger projects lately, like big wall paintings and big, like custom paintings and stuff. So is that something you're really excited about? Or is that something that you have to sort of give yourself time and space to do in a way that makes you gratified, but also produces the results you want?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I try to do bigger and better because, again, there's the pressure to do bigger and better. Because the artists that come along and they're like, we're doing this stuff now. And it's like, oh, I'm getting, I'm going to run behind. I need to do something similar.
Got to up my game now.
Now I'm going to freaking paint on the ceiling, Sistine Chapel ceiling. But yeah,
isn't that fascinating? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I feel like that's where part of that negative side of the mechanism too, in a sense, because then these 11-year-olds watching the videos are like, if I want to make it as an artist, I better learn how to paint entire walls in 3 days, or I'm not going to succeed. Which
it's a lot of pressure.
And that's where I think there's a natural tension that's going to either break or pendulum in the other direction there. So I think leaving room for that is important. I'm sorry to have interrupted
No,
you,
you're fine. No, it's exactly like that. And I'm, for some reason, no matter how long I give myself to complete something, it always takes longer than I expect it to. Like my mural videos always take me a couple days longer than I expect, and I think I'll give myself loads of time. Always takes longer, and then I'm editing my videos myself, and like my brother sometimes will help me, but certain types of videos where I have to do a voiceover over certain bits, I'm like, well, I need to watch over that. So I don't know.
It's a lot. You need to get an editor. That was one of the things I was first quite resistant to.
Yes, I feel
but it's
like
made a huge difference.
Yeah, maybe
you don't need to be resistant to it. There are people who are like, I think the natural feeling is that I communicate through my videos. Therefore, if I edit, I am the voice in my videos. I think you can still maintain that by being there through the whole process, and you can train someone to speak with your voice. And then if you're doing 10% of it, then that 90% of your time can go to
making better content,
enjoying it more, if not doing more. But it certainly saves your sanity, and that was a hard transition for me to make, because I was resistant to it, but it was worthwhile for
I
sure.
should give it a go.
But not if you're starting, you don't need, you can do it yourself.
Do it yourself. DIY the editing.
But when you're doing it as a career and you've built, some sustainability and there's some room for movement there financially, it's certainly important to focus on what you're really good at, which you may be great at editing, but obviously you're best on camera and doing art, So unless you love that, but everyone has a different truth. This is my truth.
I am not a fan of editing anymore. I used to enjoy it, but now a quick edit for me is like 8 to 10 hours. That's me rushing an edit if I've run out of time. Editing just takes so long to do, and I just don't enjoy it. And I find that, and I'm not sure if you feel the same, but when you have to make artwork in a video, you're obviously kind of pressured to make sure you get it up in a certain time. And I feel like I tend to produce art that I'm not always proud of. I actually said that in my last video. Yeah. I kind of had to rush finish it because I was running out of time, and I end up showing and making artwork that I know could be so much better if I wasn't, investing so much time in the video. Yeah. And I feel more like a YouTuber than an artist, which is a big thing that I suffer with in particular, because I don't know, I'm going to try and make a big painting at some point that, like, behind the scenes, like, filming little bits and then post it. But there's always that little voice in my head, people criticising, because I saw it posted on a forum once. Yeah,
we are YouTubers first, though, is the truth. Because if we were artists first, we wouldn't be succeeding on YouTube, because we'd be spending that time to make the artwork perfect.
Yes, that is
true.
And
even if we were watchable, it's just the balance would be too heavily in the other direction to succeed on YouTube. So I think like my personal mindset is like I have like this 80% rule where if it's 80% the best artwork I can do, that's good.
Right.
And then sometimes if I want to really push myself, I'll go for 90%, but there's still details I could have added or things I could have fixed that I won't, because I give myself that room. But also it might be 50% and it's a funnier video.
Yes.
Or it's just quicker and easier on myself. But yeah, the other thing about doing that is it allows me to understand that over time, my 80% is going to be better.
Yeah.
So my 80% next year is going to be my 120% now, with any luck, if I'm persistent.
That is true.
You know?
That's actually a very good point. I like that.
I think it's the trap of the artist. It's like, I have to do my best thing, but we never
No,
can.
you just don't have the time, and it's just it's a lot. And I always have this little voice in my head. I try not to let comments ever get to me, and I would say 99% of my comments are always lovely, but it goes back to probably about 2 or 3 years ago. There was a forum that someone sent me criticizing, comparing 2 pieces of artwork I'd made. One I'd spent 19 hours on, not on camera, before I started doing YouTube, and one that I'd rushed within like half an hour, and it was terrible. But someone said, this skill set just doesn't seem right. It's too vastly different. How can she make that and then make that? And people just like slamming this piece of artwork that I'd made. And it always mentally goes back to that, like, oh, people are probably going to behind my back talking about how bad I am, or like, oh, it seems stupid, but I would rather someone insult like something about my personality or my face or something about me physically that I cannot control, versus like something I've spent like years trying to perfect my art. You know, I take more like hurt to someone criticizing my work than if it's about me, because I'm like, well, I can't change my face.
But the vulnerability to self-criticism and being criticized when it comes to your artwork is what propels you to then. It's like this "I'll show you" mentality that we adopt when we turn that into a constructive thing. Because you either take that criticism and you go,
give up, done.
I'm going in a shell, I'm hibernating, and I suck.
I'm gone.
Which we do at times, but also it's the thing that is the fire that moves us. So yeah, it's weird. Like being an artist is like this weird, multifaceted up and down thing, but it's fun because the downs are horrible, but they propel you to the ups, and the ups are really fun.
That is very true. That is very true.
It's wisdom comes with the OG-ness, you see.
I see. Yes. Okay.
I'm like the Yoda.
You're the Yoda of the art community. I love it. So what advice do you think you'd give to people that want to be an artist? Would you maybe suggest they start something like YouTube, or, you know, how would you, you know, someone that wants to be like 11-year-old you, what would you sort of suggest to somebody like that?
I would, it's the advice I feel like has been consistent all the way along. If I give it, it's always, you have to care about the thing you're doing first and foremost. Because YouTube might disappear tomorrow, and then I've got to figure out what I'm doing, but it's gonna be in line with what I have to be satisfied doing. So yeah, the temptation is to look at YouTube and think, that looks fun, these people are having success, I like art, I will be a YouTuber, and put all your eggs in that basket, and if it does or doesn't work, then you feel like a failure or whatever. But if you have a fallback, if you would do the thing that you might do on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or wherever it is, until the day you die without an audience, then that is your calling.
Yes.
So I think the advice would be, find your calling. If you want to be an artist, find if that's the thing that you need to do to feel valid and satisfied and happy, so that when you have success, or the ups and the downs, there's always a fallback. There's always, when you find yourself, when you go through these throes of self-discovery and conflict, there's a safe place for you to come back to. That was Absolutely. A very long answer. I talk a lot. I'm sorry.
No, that is perfect. I would have to say exactly the same. Honestly, it's just finding yourself, finding what works for you, and sometimes things just fall into place. Like, I went to university, studied computer science, never expected to be an artist whatsoever, and then I just did YouTube for fun, and then it kind of just slotted into place because I did it as a hobby, like the art stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, if anyone works hard enough at something, you know, that they can get pretty far with it. But I feel with YouTube as well, it's very it has like a mental toll on you as well, because the highs are really high, but then the lows can be pretty low. And it goes back to a lot of what you said about that little feature on YouTube that tells you if your video is number 10 of 10.
Yeah.
It's so...
I discovered that this year. I don't know how long it's been around, but...
it's horrible.
It's rough, yeah, because it's good when it feels good. I'm like, yeah.
It's like 1 of 10?
Oh,
yes!
Yeah.
I'm
winning,
awesome.
I'm going up. But if it's not 1 or 2, by the time you get to around 3, you're like, it could be better. 3 is great. 3 is really good.
Yeah.
and the thing that you're taught by YouTube in their platform like advice stuff is that there's hero content and sustainable content, like the regular stuff. The special, the 1 out of 10 things, the best performing things are few and far between. But when you're releasing every video and you need it to be need it to be at the top, it's psychologically challenging to overcome. It
is. It really is rough on your
and you're like, it's like watching a race. You can't look away because it's like it's number 6. It's like 300 views less than the one above that. Like I'll come back tomorrow. I'll check. It's 200 views underneath. It's gonna get up. It's gonna go up one more place. So you're like watching these things and like willing them to do better. It's completely out of your control, but it will send you loopy through.
It will.
The need for it to move in directions.
For anyone confused about what we're talking about, there's this little feature on YouTube that when you upload a video, it compares the current upload to what you've just uploaded to the last 10 uploads based on views. So if you got 100 views on your video 2 weeks ago and your current video has 50 views on it, it's going to be beneath that one, and it constantly makes you feel like crap if your video isn't like better than the last 10 videos. For me, I'm just like, I aim for 5, at least 5, and anything below that I'm like, it's a flop. Even if it's still got a few thousand views, it's just like that was a flop, because we all have that.
But it's such a bummer because there are so many other factors. Like there's a video I made on CPM, not CPMs, on what are those things, those the marketing, what are those things that MCNs, multi-channel networks. Thank God it came to me. Jesus Christ, I really had a hernia. It comes with age. I made a video on multi-channel networks, which it's really little to do with art. It's more about content creation. Even for when I uploaded it years ago, it had very few views, and it's not a long-lived video because it's irrelevant now. But through that video, I met other creators who got advice from it, and we developed friendships, and one of which where they came and visited us. They're a sailing channel. They have nothing to do with art, and now they're sailing around the world. They've millions of subscribers. When we met, they were asking for advice because they were being approached by MCNs, and they had like 20,000 subscribers or something. Wow. So they were starting to turn it into a business. Now they have a baby, and they're sailing around the world, and they just took Greta Thunberg. They sailed her from America back to Europe. It's like this amazing thing, and we never would have met them if I didn't make that video. That is a flop. That video was a flop. But I would not have given up that experience for a more successful numerical video, like numbers-wise.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, absolutely. I also, changing the topic now, I won't keep you too much longer, but you're releasing another art box.
I am.
I'm so excited for that. Is there a name for it, or did I miss it?
There is. I haven't released it. Do you know what? No, I can. I can, because I'm getting the box. I'm being so like, I'm getting the boxes that they're going to be sent to me, and I'll get them later this week. So there'll be a vlog coming out in the next week or so showing the box packaging, like just the cardboard, and then in a couple of weeks I'll have the boxes, and I'll send one to you.
Oh, thank you! I'm so excited.
Yeah, so I'm so excited. It's like, so I did an art box last year, which, by the way, I loved seeing what you made with it and just seeing you enjoy it. It was really cool.
Thank you. It was so well put together. It was still my favourite art box. It was amazing.
Thank you so much. Well, so far.
So far.
So that was like my everything I love drawing box. Mm-hmm. It's like my foundation. It was like my core drawing box. But obviously changing my channel name from Draw with Jazza to Jazza is like, part of what I do is explore stuff. And basically I've made 3 boxes that are basically like little standalone Jazza's Jazzy art box things for different mediums. So there's one for ink and calligraphy.
Oh, that's so cool.
There's one for sculpture, and then there's one for miniature painting.
Oh,
so you can get them
exciting.
individually, and then if you get them together, you get a massive discount. Like they're all great value individually. So if you're interested in one of them, it's like amazing value, and there's really cool custom unique stuff in them, but then all packaged together we've got this big sleeve, which is like it's Jazza's ultimate creativity collection.
Oh my
And
gosh,
it's,
that's so cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So it looks cool too when it's all put together, and it's like, yeah, I'm really excited.
Wow.
So I think that the like sharing that thing, and I got so much out of seeing people. I still check out the hashtag of people upload, because people still share their artworks using the stuff in that box that I put out last year.
So cool. That must be really gratifying to release something like that and have people, all around the world with it in their hands.
Yeah, I think because my most special memories, some of my happy places that I go back to in my soul are when I was 11 or a young teenager. Just, on a family holiday, I was at the kitchen table drawing my characters, or I was on the balcony. I have this memory on a summer day, beautiful weather. I could have gone to the beach. I could see the beach from the balcony, and I was painting Warhammer on the balcony. And it was my birthday. I made my parents drive 2 hours to the nearest shop that sold Warhammer because I wanted to get some Terminators. I was like, so it's fun because I just think back to this like blissful passion that was,
that's so sweet.
Probably just full of nostalgia and all fake in my head. But no, it's really nice to see that other people experiencing that through something I'm able to bring them. So anyway, sorry, I talked a lot about it.
No, when does it come out then? When's the official release date?
The official, we're aiming for mid-September.
Wow,
for it to
very
be
soon.
Purchasable, very soon. We've been working on it for over a year.
Wow.
And we're releasing it pretty soon because we want to be able to get it to people for Christmas.
Yes.
So, obviously there's no guarantees with COVID, but we're going as early as possible. And the smart art people who we collaborated with last time are very experienced at what they do. So we're confident with the dates we've gone with and the frame we've got. We're really excited to, deliver that to people.
Oh, I can't wait to receive it and make a video on it. I'm just going to be so excited. I was like...
Thank you so much. I can't wait to see... Yeah. That's like one of my favourite things is like giving it to you guys and like whether you make something or not, sharing that is something I find really fun because I'm like, these are the things I love.
Yeah.
And there was in the last box, like this pen that I'd never used until we started putting the box together. It's my favourite pen and I can't stop using it.
Oh,
I'm addicted to it. Little things like that. There's like these little discoveries that stay with you. Anyway.
Oh, that's
I can't
so
shut
fun.
up about this stuff. So
no,
we have
it's
to change the
exciting.
subject.
I honestly, when I got the first box, I saw a note in there from you. My heart was just like, it's just stopped. I was like, oh my God, it's from Jazza. He wrote a note to me. I was so excited.
I really appreciate that. It was really fun to watch that, by the way. That reaction was like hilarious.
That was so fun. I won't keep you for too much longer, but I promised people that I would ask you a couple of questions, and I got a lot of questions for you.
Okay.
So I've only picked 2.
Are we going to do this like rapid fire or okay?
Oh, let's see.
We want to dig into some.
It's up to you. If you feel like you can answer it in like 10 seconds,
sure,
go for
your
it.
podcast. It's up to you.
Go for whatever you feel more comfortable with.
I can't answer anything in 10 seconds, but I'll leave it up to you.
What's your favourite colour?
So I'll just do that for 10 seconds. Golden yellow, like a rich orangey gold.
Nice.
I'll tell you what, I'll show you. Whatever, where is it? Something like that.
Oh no, I kind of have a blanket.
You can't really see
that colour, kind of, but looks more green.
That's a little mustardy.
Orangey. Yeah.
There's some, I'd say like gold.
Specific shade.
Not too orange, but heading in that direction.
Right. Okay.
But really rich, vibrant.
So a question from Flopsy Faye on Instagram. We kind of already answered this, but she said, have you ever felt discouraged from becoming an artist due to people judging you?
On occasion, I get way more discouraged due to myself judging me.
Yeah.
Well, due to comparing myself to others.
Yeah. We're all like our own worst critics, for sure. I would agree with that. Kiera Flay asks, have you ever felt any sort of isolation from the art community because many of them live in the USA or the UK?
No, because thankfully my experience is isolation. I grew up out in country Victoria in Australia, so I learnt to animate out in the bush.
Wow.
My life, my social connections were all on the internet. So I've never felt isolated, thank
That's
goodness.
good.
If anything, I felt more connected because there's so much in the online art community. There are so many people, there's so much happening, there's so much to do and share. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting when you get to go to events like VidCon and meet up and stuff, because it
Yes.
just allows you to kind
Yeah.
of, you have more excitement because you don't see those people all the time.
It validates why you like it so
Yeah.
much, because when you're doing it online, you think, yeah, this is where, but when you go to meet people in person, you think, is it like real? Is it, is it going to be cool in person? And it is. It's exactly the same, but just in person.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
That is cool. Okay, well, I will finish up the podcast for now. Thank you so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. It's been really awesome talking to you.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Don't forget to check out Jazza on YouTube. And what's your Instagram handle?
It's at Josiah Brooks. I'd like to I messaged at Jazza. He hasn't replied.
That happened to me. I tried to get Chloe Rose
Oh, no,
up.
it's not at Josiah. I got Draw with Jazza. It's at Draw with Jazza. I changed it from at Josiah Brooks. I'm at Josiah Brooks on Twitter. I'm all over the place. I have no
Just
cohesive
Google him.
branding.
Just Google Jazza and you'll find all his social media.
Yeah, that's a better way of saying it.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you again to Jazza. Thank you so much for joining us and giving some
been
of
really
your
fun. Thank you.
OG wisdom.
Yes, well, it comes with experience.
Okay, bye everyone. Thank you.
Bye.